Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Till the Whistle Blows podcast. My name is Sam, and we finally came to conclusion with Super Bowl Sunday. And for football knowledge, we always got to join with our friend Carrie. Carrie, how are we holding up today?
Not great. I'm pretty sleep deprived actually. Still a bit of Super Bowl hangover, and that's not because I was drinking, because I wasn't. That's because
No,
the game was so goddamn depressing.
you're
And
trying to still get over that sad game that happened.
I
I'm with
mean,
you on that
this
one.
I don't think anyone expected this outcome.
So why don't we get into that real quick?
Yeah.
So to start, I didn't realize this, but both starting tackles for the Chiefs were out. That's a big loss right there.
I mean, the story of the whole game really was that on both sides of the ball, the Chiefs got dominated in the
They
trenches.
did. Like they were getting destroyed defensive wise. They were getting destroyed offensive wise. Like unfortunately I read a stat that Patrick Mahomes ran for 500 yards behind the line of
500 yards
scrimmage.
before before throwing it, which was
Yeah.
crazy. And that's not going to obviously win you any game. But yeah, no, the offensive line, they had been without they were without three starting offensive linemen. They were without their guard, their left tackle, and their right tackle. They lost Eric Fisher, I believe,
Eric Fisher was
um
one of them.
was one. I don't know if he's left or right, but he's the one they lost in the most recent game in the AFC Championship. And I don't know exactly what positions went where, but they tried to shuffle the line around a
It just
lot.
didn't
And
work as well as
and
they
and
wanted.
yeah, they were asking guys to play new positions essentially. If bringing them from the right to the left, guard to tackle. It was really musical chairs on that offensive line, and it didn't work for this one. And that's what you have to do when you don't have either tackle. But and they also had been hurt by that from opt outs at the beginning of the season. But it didn't seem to be an issue last week. But with the change of positions and facing this brutal,
And Bucks
Tampa
front
defensive
seven there.
line led
Yeah.
by JPP and Shaq Barrett. Mahomes really had no chance in this game, and that was the story. I mean, he was.
He had no chance. He was playing behind. And something I would like to mention too is those
Yeah.
penalties they were calling. I felt like a lot of them were just bullshit.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, let's start with the line, and then I'll go to the penalties.
Yeah,
So
so let's
here,
go to the line.
the,
So I mean,
the
there. Sorry, go ahead. I'll let you
no,
start.
I have a stat here. The pressure differential was insane. I mean, this is from ESPN Stats and Info. Mina Kimes tweeted it out. Mahomes was pressured on 29 out of 56 dropbacks, the most of any QB in Super Bowl history, and Brady was pressured on just 4 out of 30, which is the lowest of his Super Bowl career. And then, and that's a guy who's played in 10 Super Bowls, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then here also by ESPN Stats Info, Patrick Mahomes dropped back to pass 56 times and faced a blitz on just 6 of these dropbacks. That's 11%. Of the 29 pressures he faced, 27 came against a pass rush of 4 or fewer defenders. That's the second most pressures against 4 or fewer rushers over the last 10 seasons. So really just historic what happened in this game from that standpoint. And then to your point, Sam, the penalties. Coming into this game, I had read about it before actually. The Carl Sheffers, who led this crew, was notorious for calling a lot of penalties, especially on the road team. And the drive before the half certainly. You had that play where Mike Evans, it was either he fell down or
He
he was
definitely
thrown
that
back
should
to
not
the
have been called. I mean, that was not a catchable ball. I felt like
yeah. And then the one in the end zone was even more blatant. I mean,
that
Tom Brady,
was I was we had I was talking to my roommates and I was like, that was
yeah.
not a catchable ball. You cannot fight me on that.
Oh
That should not have
no,
been called.
he threw it away, and
And
oh,
Tyrann Mathieu had
and
every right to be mad.
yeah, and here's, we've been talking about the calls Brady's been getting this season, and lest there are those who think that we're just pulling it out of our ass. Here is another stat uh, that will kind of blow your mind here. Tom Brady set an all-time record for DPI flags this season. In the playoffs, he added 3 more DPI flags, 2 tonight, when all other QBs combined had 3. So again, that just it's become sort of chuck it up to Mike Evans and get a flag there, but.
Yeah.
I mean, the calls really made an impact in this game, and you know that because they were called out at halftime by the halftime crew. They said, you got to let these guys play, and usually those guys aren't, they're not usually quick to shit on refs
Yeah, I
in the
was gonna
booth.
say we talked about that too sorry, not last week, 2 weeks ago during the NFC Championship game where they kind of were letting them play until like the very last quarter where they had like a blatant
Right.
like there was clearly no like evidence for it and they called it anyway. And then here They didn't let him even play.
And then Terry McCauley, who's the retired ref who works at NBC now, actually tweeted out after this game that it should not have been a penalty on the Mike Evans play. So, and yeah, I mean, these calls were not
No,
getting called in
a
the
lot of these
Packer
calls
game by
shouldn't have
Aaron Rodgers.
happened.
I mean, I'm sure he would have loved to get a lot of those calls that they were getting. But yeah, no, that drive, it's. I saw a tweet that said Tom Brady's so great he doesn't even need to complete passes to gain yards.
Yeah, that's
That
basically what
that
happened. Like the Chiefs were just getting screwed all around by that.
that drive was big, and then there was a series. When we talk about the kind of good luck and fortune Brady has, there was a series, and I have a lot of notes on this game. They're all on my Facebook, so I'm trying to
Yeah, no,
scroll down
I
to
was
get
actually
it.
keeping up with your Facebook during the game.
But there was right. Okay, here there was a series where, coming into the game, the Kansas City receivers were atrocious. They couldn't catch anything tonight, and you had early on you had a touchdown drop on that escape by Patrick Mahomes on third down. Tyreek Hill drops a deep throw, and you had a play where Mecole Hardman couldn't locate the ball in the air on a third down, and there was another third down drop after another escape by Mahomes. I think it was by Kelsey this time, and then so so there's I think this is in the second quarter, which was where it really got away because you also had those pass interference called where Chiefs get a punt off, it's called back, then their punter shanks it, and then Brady throws a pick. That's called back due to holding. Then they hold to a field goal, and that's called back because Mecole Hardman's lined up in the neutral zone, and then they get
Actually,
a first down,
even Tony
and then
Romo and
there's a
Jim Nantz said
touchdown.
there's another guy there too, and I was like, I don't see it.
And then it's a touchdown. So that just on that drive alone, they got so many breaks, and it's really phenomenal considering we've talked about it all season that when you play the Chiefs, you're essentially walking. They come into the building with essentially 250 yards passing and 30 points on the board, and this was by far the worst offensive performance of not only the worst offensive performance of Patrick Mahomes era, but I wouldn't be surprised, Sam, if this is the worst offensive performance of the Patrick Mahomes era for the next 5 years.
Yeah,
I don't think
this
we're
honestly could be just like like a fluke game. Unfortunately, yes, it happened in the Super Bowl, but I don't see it affecting him way that often.
and he still made some phenomenal throws that weren't caught in this game. I mean, you talked about the 500 yards he ran behind the
He
line.
ran
I
so
mean,
much, like the one
there
where he was literally sideways in the air and
he
he
was
launched it.
right. He was falling onto the ground. I mean, he made that's it's unfortunate that's not what this game will be remembered for. But I think people who paid attention to this game will realize that there was a series, I think, in the third or the fourth quarter where he just made three straight catchable balls in the red zone that were not hauled in on just unbelievable scrambles where and he was hurt too. I mean, you could tell he was not. He
Yeah, they were
had
saying
turf
he had a bit of an
toe.
injury going on early on.
Right.
I was like, that's fine.
Yeah,
That's
he had turf toe. He was not going at full speed, and even with that, he was making, and they weren't blocking. And he was making everyone miss, and he was dropping dimes, and his receivers weren't catching it. So the Chiefs just seemed sloppy, and it wasn't a turnover. I mean, there wasn't a turnover late in the game. So both his interceptions, one was with no time left, and the other was off a receiver. So the Chiefs just played sloppy, I thought, and defensively too. I mean, they couldn't stop the Bucks at all, and I thought, Tyrann Mathieu was obviously frustrated. I didn't get the sense that he was entirely focused on the day. He was getting called for a lot of penalties, which I don't feel like is usually something he does. But
no, he
um,
definitely got a little
just,
frustrated. He got a little scrappy
yeah,
too with Tom during that
and
end half.
of course, he got called for the unsportsmanlike, and Tom didn't because Tom never gets called for those. But as for Tom, because I know people, he was a system quarterback today. I mean, Romo really said what Tom needed to. He said keep it simple, play action, screen,
Like you
and
don't need to go crazy, and he didn't go crazy. The one thing I
right.
don't agree with though is he should not have won Super Bowl
No,
MVP.
no, that was ridiculous. I mean, MVP, they should just get rid of it at this point if they're going to give it to the QB because it was really the entire defense or Todd Bowles if you're going to give it to someone. But
I think
I'm
Shaquille
with you. He
Barrett
was not.
or JPP should have got it, but
But what?
I wanted Rob
Yeah, go ahead.
Gronkowski to get it. To be honest with you, with those two touchdowns.
Yeah, he. I mean, this was maybe his best game of the season as well. And what's amazing, honestly, is that Tom and there's obviously a lot to talk about this game. A lot to unpack. But Tom in the last two Super Bowls he's played in, his defense is not allowed a touchdown to the opposing team. And they were these are both historic offenses. His defense in the last two Super Bowls is now allowing 6 points per game, and it's what was I going to say? It's very easy to um you know the narrative essentially coming into this game was that, like, oh, can Tom Brady prove he can do it without Bill Belichick? But if anything, this was he upgraded. He left a sinking ship in New England, and he went to the AFC at the same. He left the AFC at the same time it was getting competitive, because I don't know if he makes it to the Super Bowl if he plays in the AFC this
No,
year. I think
I think this
Buffalo
year he wouldn't have made it if he was
and
on the
his
Patriots still.
right, and Packers, or even if they did make the playoffs, I don't know that they get past Buffalo or Baltimore, and or even Tennessee. And Baltimore and New Orleans and Green Bay, they haven't gotten to a Super Bowl in the last decade or so. And it also just came out that this Tampa defense held Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Drew Brees to their lowest efficient games of the season. So really just an unbelievable job by this defense. And I think certainly this puts Todd Bowles back in the running for another shot at a head coaching
Hopefully
gig.
next year he gets a shot. I know all the vacancies were filled, but he definitely should. One of the things I want to touch on before we continue, you talked about the Super Bowl MVPs, how it
Yeah.
usually is just the quarterback. Actually, it really hasn't been. So Julian Edelman actually won it in 2019, and Von Miller won it back in Super Bowl 50. Yeah, I was just looking over it. Like, we've got
Right.
two linebackers in the past few years, because Malcolm Smith back did it too during the destruction game between the Seahawks and the Broncos. The one thing that I did also notice is back in 1997, Desmond Howard on the Green Bay Packers won it as a kick returner.
Oh, right. Well, he had that. I think it was. I remember that. That was Bledsoe versus Favre, and he had that kick return that I believe was to open up the third quarter that really opened up the game for them. I think it was either a 1 or 2 score game, and
Yeah,
that put
but
them out
so
of it. But,
it's not really just the quarterbacks. They are definitely showing love around the league.
well, oh, but
Or,
back in the day, I mean, back in the day, yeah. I mean,
well, that was
it wasn't
1997. I mean,
right.
if we're going to stick with the 2010s, I mean, two linebackers won it, and Julian Edelman.
Right, but those were also, I mean, I actually I forgot about Julian Edelman winning in that game. I'm trying to think who that was a low scoring game. I'm
That
trying
was
to think
against the
who
Rams. That was that 13-3.
I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I thought Stephon Gilmore should have won it in that game.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
with you on that one. I think
or
Gilmore
it was
should have won
either
that one, too.
Gilmore or maybe it was McCourty. Whoever, I think it was McCourty actually.
One of the
He
defensive
broke up.
guys, and I'm glad
Right.
I mean, Edelman got it because I guess he got the touchdown basically, but
But this is in my I wrote I think this is Tom Brady's, in my opinion, third undeserved Super Bowl MVP. I think in this game I would have given it to Shaq Barrett or JPP. In 2001 I would have given it to Ty Law, and then
yeah.
in against the Falcons I would have given it to James White. Remember he had like
James
14
White
catches,
would have, I
whenever-
think, deserved it back.
um,
As much as I'm still bitter about it,
yeah, but
he definitely should have deserved it.
pre 2010 it was. I mean, I remember Ben Roethlisberger even in the Super Bowl where he led that game winning drive. It went to in both his Super Bowls he didn't get it. One went to Santonio Holmes and the other went to
Hines Ward.
Hines Ward. Yeah, so
I was
so
gonna
there
say,
you
I mean,
go.
the only besides Julian Edelman, it looks like the only other person to get it on the Patriots was Deion Branch back in 05.
Right, that was against the Eagles. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, well, Tom Brady won it against the Panthers. Deion Branch. Yeah, if they had won in 2007, I would have thought that Wes Welker would have been worthy because he had like 11 catches in that game, but they didn't win that game.
I was gonna say,
And
2008.
yeah, but just back to this game for a sec. I think
Yeah.
another what was really impressive by this Tampa Bay coaching staff is that and a lot of people were pointing this out. They did the opposite of what they've been doing all season, on both sides of the ball. So on offense, what do you think of Bruce Arians? You think deep ball, and they threw it underneath in this game.
They definitely threw it a lot underneath there. I was a little shocked to see that, but I mean,
Right.
they
and then
adjusted
on
for what they needed to
defense,
do.
You had hold on, you just froze on me.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, you're back.
All right, perfect.
And you froze again.
Yeah, just keep going. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, and then on defense, Todd Bowles, what do you think of with Todd Bowles? You think of blitz pressure, and he just rushed 4 in this game and played a 2 deep shell, and that eliminated Tyreek Hill. So really great game planning to really catch. I mean, I think Andy Reid certainly got outcoached in this one. And,
He did. You know what?
You have
They
those
definitely
days,
did a great job coaching on the Buccaneers side of things. When it comes to, again, we talked about the Super Bowl MVP. I don't think he deserved it.
No.
But it's just what it is. Tom Brady, they're going to want to give him more awards.
Right. It's not going to be about and again in the media it's going to be about, it's not going to be about this defense that you just held Patrick Mahomes to 3 field goals, right? It's going to be all about Tom Brady. And the one that particularly pissed me off is Tom Brady has more Super Bowls than any other franchise at 7. He's like, yeah, but 6 of those were with the Patriots. It's not like he won those with like a bunch of he has 1 with Tampa and 6 with the Patriots. So
Well, if you
and
really think about it, what he had amazing defenses for his first 2. Then he comes up with Randy
first
Moss.
he has never won a Super Bowl without an amazing defense.
Yeah, it's all about the defense for him. And I mean, this is the first time where he brought himself into a situation where the team was already built around him.
It was there, right? I mean, it was a great job of picking a team by Brady, and they and the weapons too. I mean, to bring in Fournette and Gronkowski and Antonio Brown when they didn't even need those guys.
No,
right?
yeah. I mean, actually, they might have needed Fournette. I mean, their starting running back probably would have been Ronald Jones, and I don't know if he was ready to take over everything just yet.
Maybe not as a bell cow, but as a 2-man.
So I think that was a good call because Shady McCoy definitely was not the answer. I mean, he gets his Super Bowl. I'm proud of him. I liked LaShawn McCoy when he was a Bill and an Eagle.
Was he on the? I keep forgetting is he on the Chiefs?
He's on the Buccaneers.
On the Bucks. Okay, yeah.
He's their third string.
He hasn't been active all season, so
no, he's not doing anything anymore. But he got a Super Bowl from this, so I can't complain. I mean, I liked him as a running back.
Yeah. And then the Chiefs going into a couple things. Number one, there's going to be this narrative, oh, Patrick Mahomes sucks in the Super Bowl. They've now played 2. I mean, the defenses he's had to face in his first 2 Super Bowls are as tough as it gets. Number one. Number 2, it was the offensive line. They're going to be healthier up front. One tweet I saw that I would agree with is it probably would behoove Kansas City to find a number 2 kind of possession receiver because really all they have are speed guys right now.
Yeah, was it?
They're all Tyreek Hill. Yeah, Tyreek Hill. The deep ball is great, but you need time to throw deep, and that takes a lot of pass protection you don't always have. And then Demarcus Robinson, I think their third guy, and then Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman. They're all kind of Tyreek Hill Jr. Right? I think it would help them to have kind of a big-bodied kind of number 2, almost like a Brandon Marshall type receiver to complement Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire was good in this game, but they didn't commit to the run early. I just think that they were at a disadvantage at the offensive line, and then throw in the mistakes they made and some of the officiating, and this one just got away from them really quickly, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was a little rough for them. I mean, it's going to be interesting. When you bring back the possession receiver, maybe getting a Dwayne Bowe back would be good. He might be a great solidify for them. But I mean, like it was just rough out there. Yes, the injuries hurt, but like defensive wise, like they really could not stop anything. And when they could stop it, like they were getting their asses pushed by penalties. So I mean, it was a rough outing all around for the Chiefs. And you can't really say that he can't play well in the Super Bowl since he came back from 2010 and then like he just couldn't do anything in this one.
And even still, he made some amazing throws.
You can't say he plays bad in the Super Bowls when he like put his body on the line for this one.
And we read the pressure stats and discrepancy, so people are going to use the result. Oh well, he
he lost, but he played his heart out. He ran for 33 yards. He ran for 500 more on the back line.
And he got absolutely smacked. I mean, he was taking a beating. There was no quitting this dude.
Yeah, no, like he kept.
And they're going to be back.
So they're going to come back.
Right.
The one thing I will say though is, so I read a thing that Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson kind of had the same career outlook. In Russell Wilson's second year as a starter, he made it to the Super Bowl and won.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes' second year as a starter made it and won. Third year, made it to the Super Bowl, played Tom Brady, lost. Patrick Mahomes made it to the Super Bowl, played Tom Brady, lost.
Yeah.
So hopefully he doesn't go down this trajectory of Russell Wilson.
But this whole postseason for Tampa and for Tom, I mean, their defense really stepped up in the postseason. But Tom had a clean game today, he had an efficient game, but overall, I don't feel like he really played that great in the postseason. I mean,
he really didn't. Honestly, I still feel like Taylor Heineke on the football team should have won that wild card game.
Sam,
can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, I got you. Yeah, no,
Taylor
I
Heineken over
agree. I
there.
mean, again, he threw three interceptions in the championship game. There are not a lot of QBs that throw three interceptions in the
And still
championship game and
win.
still win. So,
So honestly, it's just like,
for people
you
who want to,
know,
ki- kiss his ass, go ahead. But I think this was as Brady as it gets. But you know what? Congratulations to Bruce Arians and that staff he put together. They
he is
deserve this,
now the oldest coach to win a Super Bowl.
and they'll be back. I mean, Casey will be back.
Casey will
So,
be back. If
um,
Tom and the Bucks probably stick together, they'll probably be back too. We'll probably be seeing this again.
yeah, exactly. So, but certainly not the most entertaining of outcomes in this one.
And this game really
And
did feel like the Broncos Seahawks game from a few years
yeah,
back that we brought up.
yeah, it did. I mean, it was just non-competitive, really, at all in any way.
Yeah, no, it was rough. You know what? But we got off season to look forward to. We got a draft to look forward to, and we've got a lot of interesting storylines that'll be hopefully coming up ahead, and we'll definitely talk about those when they come up.
Yeah, and it was really amazing considering, it was a great regular season, and then the postseason, it was the first postseason since 2005 that we didn't see a fourth quarter lead change. So,
Yeah.
maybe a lot of these teams maybe just not ready for prime time yet.
No, but a lot of these teams are still very young. Like, the Cardinals are a
Yeah,
young team. The Bills were a young
Bills.
team. We've got the Chiefs that are still a young team. Like, they're gonna have to develop into it. Like, I think the Buccaneers were one of the older teams in the league. So
Yeah. And one thing, this is actually something that you pointed out throughout the season that I, kind of brushed aside, but, Aaron Schatz of the head of Football Outsiders pointed out that, since around week 4 this season, his metrics have had Tampa as a team ranked higher than KC, and a lot of that had to do with KC's low margin of victory. They were really only winning games by like a score, and he
mhm.
said he took a lot of flack from the analytics community for that, that. But like looking back, it's clear that this KC team, we thought Mahomes was the exception; he could overcome everything, but
he
margin of victory still does say something indicative about your team, and so I thought that was an interesting
I was gonna say we
observation.
brought it up every week. Like, they win close games, but it shouldn't have been close to begin with. And then we kind of see what happens. So it's a little rough to see, but you know what? Like I said, there's a lot of off-season work to do. Maybe the Chiefs will figure something out. Maybe the Bucks will get more weapons. Maybe the Ravens will be here next year. Maybe we see the Bills. Maybe we see the Packers for once. Because anything can happen in the
Right.
NFL.
Right, and that's I think I think that's a testament to the greatness of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid that maybe this wasn't their best team performance, but they were still able to get it done and get this far.
Yeah, so this isn't the end of the Andy
Hello,
Reid
Sam.
and Patrick Mahomes. They're just kicking off. They're just picking up speed here. They're gonna get
Right,
they're
right.
gonna get better with time. They're gonna age like a fine wine over there.
Totally agree. Totally. And another thing also is that Andy Reid's son, who's on the linebackers coach, was drunk driving this week, got in a car
Yes, I did
crash and
read
put
that.
put a 5-year-old girl in the hospital in critical condition. I think that I don't want to make excuses, but I think it's hard to get ready for a Super Bowl when that's on your mind. I would not be surprised if that
Yeah,
played.
I'm with you on that one. That was probably a little rough too, but you
Truly.
still got to show up. Still kind of have to do your job.
Oh, you got to show up. Yeah, and he said at the game, he said Todd Bowles got us. They give credit to him. So
Yeah, like
it
honestly,
happens.
maybe he should have won MVP.
I think he was the MVP, but it happens. It's one of those days. You learn from it and you try to move forward.
Yeah, but you know what? Like I said, Todd Bowles, did a great job. Byron Leftwich was there,
Yep.
and you know what? Eric Bieniemy, he had a rough time with what he was dealt.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, totally. It was an off day, and all you can do is look back and try to learn from it and try to improve and tip your hat to the other guys.
Yep. One report I did read during the game that I thought would be nice to mention: Carson Wentz and the Eagles are actually in discussions about a trade with the Colts.
Well, I don't, it makes sense because they don't have a quarterback and because it's a good situation. I'm skeptical Wentz can do anything after this season, so
No,
we'll see.
honestly, he's been on the decline since that ACL tear from their Super Bowl victory year.
Correct.
So, I mean, I don't
Correct.
know what going to the Colts will do. Like, maybe he'll have a better relation with Frank Wright, but honestly, he's probably going to become a journeyman like Ryan Fitzpatrick coming down this road here.
I mean, and just they're going to have to pay. So I mean, wouldn't you rather, uh, play Brissett for pennies than pay
Wentz
God's money
millions
for?
for nothing.
Yeah, yeah. So
I mean, it's gonna, like I said, we have a very interesting offseason coming up. We've got this quarterback carousel going on. The coaching staffs are already figured out even before the season ended, which I'm shocked by.
right.
And we got this
Yeah,
draft.
me too. That is kind of crazy that there's no coach. I mean, that's weird.
I
You know,
thought the
you almost
Texans would have taken their time.
you feel like some of these teams, do rush that a little bit.
I think the
Um,
Jets got a good one with Saleh. I think Arthur
I agree.
Smith was a very interesting choice for the Falcons.
I
I
agree.
think Urban Meyer was a little bit of a gamble. I think that one
A
Jacksonville should have
gamble.
waited.
It's a gamble, all
That's a
right.
gamble. Whoever the Texans hired, that was a gamble. And I
Uh,
mean, was it Dave something from the Ravens?
I don't even remember. I was gonna say Nick Sirianni, but that's Eagles.
No, that's also a questionable hire.
Texans were Dave. I don't know. I don't even.
It's Dave
I don't
something.
even
And I
know.
mean, the Lions have Dan Campbell, which is the hugest experiment right now since they got rid of
Take a
Matt
bite,
Stafford.
Mister. Take a bite out of some kneecaps.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of these head coaching hires, I honestly think we're a little rushed, and they're going to be a little bit of a project here.
Yeah, I agree, and you know, but there'll be a lot to keep up with during this off season, and hopefully we'll have both college football and the NFL. Hopefully we'll have a non-COVID season next year, which we might not because it's still vaccine distribution's been a bit slow to start, but I think that certainly will help even the playing field with some of these teams um, moving forward. I mean, both were extremely non-competitive. I mean, you look at college football too, and Alabama was
They
it
were kind of
was
steamrolling.
steamrolling. I mean, it was no one's, and which is fine. I don't mind Bama, but it wasn't really in a lot of programs that are usually up or down, and it was a pretty competitive NFL up until the postseason. So, like you said, hopefully a lot of these teams that are younger or needed that experience will look different moving forward. And I think there's a bright future for the AFC and for a lot of these young teams and for KC and for Josh Allen and all that. But for now, it was just a phenomenal job team building and a phenomenal job coaching up, and you get some bounces of the ball and some help from the refs, like Tom Brady usually does, and it's another Super Bowl.
Yep. So well, it's been a fun football season all around here.
Did you
Hopefully,
one more thing
yep.
I just remembered, Sam. Did you see? Yeah, Aaron Rodgers won MVP, which we were expecting, but Patrick
He had
Mahomes
an engagement announcement.
Patrick Mahomes got fewer votes than Josh Allen even got, like
Oh, I didn't look at
four
that. I
votes.
saw that.
That was ridiculous
I
to
saw
me.
what's his, Aaron Rodgers like told about his engagement to someone during his thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let me do a quick Google because I know he was dating Olivia Munn for a while, and Aaron Rodgers engaged. Um, the Shailene Woodley. Um, it's a quick engagement, but for those that know them, it didn't come as a surprise. Oh wait, hold on. Who is it? This girl looks familiar. Is this the girl from Divergent? Shailene. Uh, yeah, it is the girl from Divergent. She's pretty young. She's 29. He's like, so what, like 6 years younger than him?
Yeah.
No, he's 37, so 8 years younger than him.
All right. Well, I mean, that's what I got out of the MVP. Besides that, I didn't really watch the NFL honors.
I didn't either. I was just going from what I saw online, but
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's been fun doing this with you, Sam, and excited to see what happens this offseason.
Yeah, so
What
we'll
happen,
definitely
what
have you back when we get more offseason going on, more draft news. When the schedule comes out, we'll talk about that.
Totally.
One thing I will mention, though, this is going to be the end of season one. We're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to take some time. We're going to regroup. I want to restructure how we're doing it. And we will definitely be back here hopefully in another month or so. And we will discuss more sports and football. Gary, as always, love having you here.
It's been a lot of fun. I mean, I really enjoy doing this every week, and hope the listeners got something out of it as well.
Yeah, so we'll be back with basketball, hockey, and other stuff. Hopefully, a little later down the road. Carrie will be back with us when we hear more football news and get into those stuff. Carrie, as always, what would you like to plug?
Yeah, check me out at my blog, footballck.wordpress.com, and then also check me out at lafbnetwork.com, and I will see you sometime in the future, Sam.
We will see you soon. I bet you we'll be talking about when Deshaun Watson or J.J. Watt get traded in these coming months.
Yeah, that's the big one. So definitely will be a lot to talk about.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you later.